got another one. You know what, right? Parable. He did a lot of them. He certainly did. And this one you find in Matthew, the 21st chapter. You find it also in Mark, the 12th, and in Luke, the 20th. What do you think that indicates that it's in all three of the synoptic gospels? It's important, yeah. It's there for a reason. Slight variations, and I'm going to point one of those out today, but the basic content is the same. Now, the early church recognized this parable as an allegory. In other words, not literal. They understood that it was not literal. In the traditional terms of the early church, the vineyard was Israel. It stood for Israel. The owner of the vineyard was God. Yeah. And the tenants who were to work it represent the rulers and the leaders of Israel. This is to the early church. The messengers that appear in the story, they're the prophets who had things to say about what was going on in God's vineyard. And then, of course, in the story, the owner sends his son to straighten things out. Who do you think that might be? Was seen as Jesus. We would say the Christ. And as it turned out, the punishment was essentially the ruin of Israel at the time, and then other tenants that were installed over the vineyard were the Gentile parts of the church. That's how they perceived it. Now, in the development and the understanding of metaphysics at an even deeper level, it's even more clear. I'd like to show you this story. So, Chris, would you play it for us? Now, understand, we're talking pure symbolism here. There's not literal understanding in this particular parable of Jesus. It's all about inside. So, your mind, consciousness, isn't that what governs your life? What's his name? Fox did a talk, became a booklet called Life is Consciousness. What you cultivate as attitudes, beliefs, concepts in your mind, those are the vines that produce the fruit that makes your life the wine. And in this particular story, there are a variety of things that are important. The answers we've gained through living our lives, through experience, whether they're true or false. And we have some false answers, do we not? When we've looked at life through our physical eyes and we've judged it through human consciousness, the way things appear, the way the world tells us, they've told us a lot of lies over the centuries. And one of them is, you can get your good at another's expense. You want to try that? I don't recommend it. Remember the principle of karma? You've heard of it before. What you give out, what you do, returns to you. It's like the law of receiving. As you give, so you receive. If I give lots of negativity and lots of pain and suffering, what am I going to get back? Absolutely. It's the law. Is it because something up there is looking down saying, oh, you deserve this and you deserve this? No. It's the product of a principle. What you put out returns to you. And remember the Bible when it talks about the windows of heaven are open. The good you give and the good you receive becomes pressed down, overflowing. How do you like that? Give out the negativity that comes back pressed down and overflowing. I don't even like it when that thing happens in my bathroom. So there's an aspect of karma in this story, of what you send out, what you believe and think about, how you think about your relationship to God, other people. So it's all about connection to your source and remembering the source and remembering that you're placed here in this vineyard to grow. To grow how? To get richer? To get more powerful? Or to become a fuller expression of the Spirit of God that's in you, which includes abundance, peace, joy, happiness, all of the good stuff. But you have a variety of workers that are sent out into the vineyard, and they're supposed to give back. They're supposed to give back the good. But what do? They try to keep it all. They try to separate it from its source. So the messengers, they kill the messengers. Now, it depends on the version in which book. Sometimes they just beat them. And sometimes in a different book it'll say they killed them. What does that mean? Did they go back and kill the prophets? No, not all of them. And you kill the concepts of what's right, what's the proper thing to do, the true principle in your life. You kill truth. That human part of you says, oh, that truth thing, that'll never work. What you give, you receive? Oh, that'd be wonderful if that's true. What am I doing? I'm killing the principle as far as it seems to me. I can't kill the principle in truth. So what I put out, I'm going to receive. Whoever works against the spiritual life, who works against the principles of the universe, encounters difficulty. In one of the versions, it talks about being ground to powder. This particular version, Chris, let's go to the text. Here another parable. There was a householder who planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it. The hedge around it. It's a wall, isn't it? It's a barrier. The hedge around it is what we've gained about life in observation, what we believe about life, our concepts and our understanding of the reality of life, the truth about life. Now, put a hedge around it. Not all that hedge is built out of truth, is it? So we put up barriers that keep us in and can keep our good away. It's also the limit of our knowledge about God and ourselves and about principle. The boundaries of our minds. Those are the places where we're satisfied with our own opinions and our own viewpoints. Oh, we all have those, don't we? And we have cherished ones. And we have ones that, yeah, I'm happy to hold on to this one. Oh, no, maybe it's never worked in my life. It's never brought me what I want, but I'm keeping it. Sometimes we refuse to look beyond those hedges that we've built around it. Each of us has a wine press and dug a wine press in it. You've got a wine press. An idea what that is? It's the activity of your mind, the activity within your mind, which gives you hope and courage. Do some people get courage from the grape? Or the juice of the grape? Yeah, it's a concept of hope and courage. You need that in life, do you not? Let's get rid of the word hope. In the human consciousness, we have hope. But if we have spiritual consciousness, what's the word that replaces it? Faith. Because you perceive the good, not hope that someday some may come to you in the future, but you perceive it as present now. So you've got a wine press and built a tower. That tower. In old times, what did they build a tower for? Watch out for bad, yeah. To be able to see what's coming at you. In a sense, it's protection. Ideas of strength. Because in that tower, your troops are protected and they can endure. The keep in a castle was a tall tower in the middle. And it was the last place when they were being sieged that they would go. Hopefully, that was the refuge, a place of strength where you could endure. But one of the things that tower hopefully keeps us from is a sense of defeat. Do you ever feel defeated? Not an unknown experience in life, is it? Yeah, it happens. Solomon said that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is a reminder. You've got this vineyard, this realm of mind, consciousness that you're building. And you have certain elements of that. Your fence, your hedges around, your boundaries. I won't go any further than this. I won't think any broader than this. I won't expand my horizons. Sometimes you have to burn out those hedges. Enlarge your vineyard. Increase your consciousness. And you want to be sure that it's not the human wine press that's providing you with courage and confidence, but the divine, that inner spirit of God that's guiding you, supplying you with the wisdom and the knowledge to know that all things, say it, work together for good. Have you heard that before? All things work together for good. Next time you start to fret and worry, instead of forgetting that, how about reminding yourself? All things work together for good. And it's working for my highest good even now. That can provide you with that sense of strength and the ability to continue to walk through. Because the challenges end. The challenges are not forever. Even the Psalm says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It doesn't say anything about, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death and I get caught in it and it kills me and there's no way out. Yea, though, if people just read that psalm the way it's intended, but so often the understanding of that I hear is, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as if that's the important part. But the important part is through. There is life beyond this, and I am going to get there. Remember at the crucifixion, Jesus said, El Elimana Shwakten in Aramaic. My God, my God. How do we translate that? Why hast thou forsaken me? George Lamsa came along and explained the correct translation. My God, for this is my destiny. What? To be crucified? No, to overcome. For this was I spared. The human says, God, why have you forsaken me? That deep human fear and lack of understanding. But from the Spirit, a divine Spirit within, from the Christ in you, comes, for this is your destiny, to overcome whatever seems to be going on in your life, to be the experience. Now, in the story, we go on, and when the season of fruit drew near, he sent the servants to the tenants to get his fruit. And guess what? And the tenants took his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. A trinity. Beat, killed, and stoned. Well, that takes care of that, doesn't it? But it goes further. Again, he sent other servants, more than the first. And they did the same to them. Afterwards, he sent his son to them, saying, they will respect my son. We'll stop right there. Now, does this mean that they physically killed people? No. We kill concepts of truth. When we learn something such as thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. You've heard that before, right? And the human part of you said, oh, that's nuts. Give and you shall receive. Yeah, we know. Preachers always say that. Some part of the human begins to negate the truth of being. You're killing them, you're beating them, you're stoning them. What? You're stoning the truth. You're stopping yourself from putting into practice the truth of being. from cooperating with the laws of the universe. So, I'm going to send my son. Afterward, he sent his son to them, saying, they will respect my son. Oh, yeah? But when the tenants saw the son, they said to themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him and have his inheritance. Let's get our good however we can. And we don't have to be concerned about this spiritual stuff. We don't have to be concerned with the thoughts and attitudes we hold in mind. That's not affecting my life. So trying to make things happen in the world, as someone once brought a sign in many years ago, back in the early 80s, if it's to be, it's up to me. The rest of that is to make it happen. If it's to be, it is up to me to let it happen. And how do I do that? By recognizing the source of all good and the principles that bring our good to us. Life, love, health, peace, joy. Functioning under spiritual awareness. So, let's kill him and have his inheritance. That's the way to eternal life, happiness. And they took him and cast him out of the vineyard and killed him. When therefore the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? Jesus is asking this. What will he do to those tenants? They said to him, he'll put those wretches to a miserable death and let out the vineyard to other tenants who will give him the fruits in their seasons. Is that what you think God would do? Let's see what Jesus says. Have you never read in the scripture? The very stone which the builders rejected has become the head of the corner. This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. This is not the cornerstone like we have out here on the front of the building. That cornerstone, you see it across the street on the First Christian Science Church built in Kansas City. That's across the junkyard. It has a date and a name and that kind of stuff. Probably has documents inside it, as ours used to have. This is a different cornerstone. It's a stone that is at the head of the corner, and it supports the corner of the building. It's very important. That cornerstone. It represents the stone laid to bear the weight of the wall. It would have provided what we would consider a firm foundation for the structure. Now, rich Orientals would build a vineyard and then lease them to tenant farmers. Often the lease agreement would be for 1/3 of the produce to go back to the owner. They might make some other agreement that a certain amount of money might be exchanged during the lean years. And there were lean years sometimes, depended on the weather. The person who was leasing the vineyard would try really hard to meet that lease obligation in spite of drought or even heavy rains. We have the same issues in agriculture here. So the climate can be an issue in all points in the world. But we are provided with this cornerstone for your life. What is that? Trust in what? God. Good. Truth. Principle. Even that divine presence, Christ in you. He speaks of it as the stone which the builders rejected. When you think of the builders, those are people, are they not? People build all these structures. The cornerstone is natural. It's God-made. Just interesting that some of you remember L.E. Meyer, Lewis E. Meyer, who was the last minister here, as the one who emptied the cornerstone of this building. L.E. said to me, this building, he said, was the stone the builders rejected. But he said, in bringing it, in us coming back in, he said, but you have done the restoration, bringing this cornerstone back into the family. And that's true. That's what we're doing, what we've done. This whole story, there's an image in this cornerstone, in the idea of the stone. I'm not going to ask you to take out a dollar bill, but you probably have one, don't you? You know what is the symbol on one side of your dollar bill? Not Washington's picture. Remember the pyramid? It's a split pyramid. A little triangle at the top, and what's in the center of the triangle? An eye. And then the bottom section of the pyramid represents spirit, God, the all-seeing eye, and physicality, material, spirit and matter. What's over the matter? Spirit, the eye. It's a reminder that manifestation starts with all thought. Thought is formative. So it's a reminder that in your garden, your consciousness, in your vineyard, it's important to remember your thought is building your life. Like the eye above the base of the pyramid. What is mind forms manifestation. So what's important to remember? One, you don't want to cancel out spiritual law. You don't want to ignore it. You don't want to try to buck it. You want to work with it. Because it helps. Your life will be better. There's no firm foundation in life without the wisdom of the Christ within you. The wisdom of truth within you. You know, from the years of me talking here and telling you about some of my life, you know that I worked in a medical lab for several years. You work with chemistry, among other things. And you don't make it up as you go. You're constantly working with the principles of chemistry and how the chemicals, the elements interact. You don't fight it. What happens when you fight it? Yeah. I've told you the story that I would work nights in the lab and by myself. And this one night, we used to do everything by hand. So it was all pipetted chemicals, and you'd measure out the chemicals to do tests. You didn't put in a machine and walk away and get an answer in 10 minutes. I had a cholesterol determination that was ordered, and that required some pretty high-power chemicals. And one of them was acid. We had a shelf on the chemistry bench that had the reagents up there. The acids, the bottles were labeled, and I reached for the one that had the right label, and you pipette it. You suck up the acid in a glass tube and hope you don't suck too hard. Yeah. Today that's illegal, but that's how it was done at those days. Then you put it into the test tube. But you lean over and you blow out the last little bit. I leaned over and I blew out the last little bit, and what was in there came right up into my face. Good thing I wore glasses. I ripped them off, kept my eyes closed, and I ran across the room to the sink, big sink, and I started flushing my eyes. I finally found out someone refilled the reagent bottles. They put the wrong thing in that bottle. Yeah. That's what happens when you don't follow principle. You get an unexpected reaction. To those who refuse to recognize the creative power of thought, God bless you. Because what are you going to get? Chaos. Because you're putting out all kinds of things all the time. You're grabbing the wrong reagents, trying to make them work together, and poof. So, it's for our own benefit. That's why this parable is important as a reminder. What you give out, you receive. Mind forms. Thought is formative. So first in mind, then in expression. First in your vineyard, and then out into the world, into your life.